Hey, what's up, guys? This is Benny Ricciardi with rotocurve.com, and I'm here with our DraftKings NBA picks for Tuesday, February 23rd. It's a small five-game slate going on tonight, but we actually have four of the five games that should be pretty high scoring. So there are a lot of options and a lot of different ways you can go, and a lot of guys that are in some pretty good spots. So let's call up the slideshow and talk about the three guys who we're going to be targeting heavily tonight. The three guys we're looking to have a lot of exposure to are Nikola Vucevic at 7,400, Danilo Gallinari at 7,100, and Drew Holiday at 7,400. The first guy we want to talk about is Vucevic. He's favored by 6 in a high total game against Philadelphia with a 206 total here. The 76ers have allowed a ton of points to fantasy centers this year. And we've talked about this before, but Okafor is a little bit undersized, so centers tend to get close to their season high in blocks and rebounds against them because he doesn't rebound very well for a center, being that he's really more of a power forward. And because he's a few inches smaller and doesn't really get a lot of lift off the ground, he also winds up getting a lot of his shots blocked. So whenever we have centers going up against Philadelphia, you're always expecting them to have close to their season high in rebounds and close to their season high in block shots. Now, Vucevic has actually been playing very well lately. He's averaging 37 minutes and 46 fantasy points over the course of his last 4 games. So if we can get a 46 fantasy point performance out of him again here, that's going to be a solid 6x value. In a game against Philly where everything is to the upside and, everything looks good for him, I do think there's a solid chance that he can do that for us. The next guy we're going to talk about is Danilo Gallinari. He plays Sacramento today in what should be the top total game on the day. So far, there's no line on this game, mostly because they're not sure whether or not DeMarcus Cousins is going to play. Sacramento does play fast, and they allow huge games to the high-usage players on every team. Again, this is something that we talked about, how we've been targeting guys going up against Sacramento. Joe Johnson did well for us the other day. LeBron, had one of his better games of the season, along with Kyrie. We also had all the guys on Boston, like Isaiah Thomas and Avery Bradley, have some big games against Sacramento. It's something that we've seen happen, time and time again, basically at every position, but definitely at the wings, you're able to attack this Sacramento team. And we actually recommended Gallo last week when they played Sacramento as well. He put up 40 fantasy points against them. I think he had 39.5 on DraftKings, actually. So again, if we're going to get 40 fantasy points for 7,100, that's a guy that's getting us 5.7, 5.8 times value. Now, Gallinari has averaged 37 fantasy points over his last 6 games. So even with a couple stinkers thrown in there, this guy has still been putting up some pretty big numbers, playing over 30 minutes a game and, contributing across the board. The last guy we're going to talk about who we want to have some exposure to today is Drew Holiday at 7,400. He plays in one of the higher total games on the day at 213 against the Washington Wizards. We know that the Wizards play at one of the fastest paces in the league, and their wing defense has been pretty bad. I don't think John Wall is going to be the guy that winds up on Holiday because Holiday has been on the court with Norris Cole a lot over the last couple games. He may see a little bit of John Wall defense, but again, Washington plays so fast that guys have produced at every fantasy position against them this year. Now, Drew Holiday has quietly been one of the best starts for the course of the last month of the season. He's gone 5x value or better in 18 of his last 23 games. And 12 of those games has been 6x value or better, including 4 of the last 5. So for those people who were saying, oh, yeah, well, he used to be cheap, he's not anymore. Yeah, well, he hasn't been cheap in his last 5 games. And in 4 of those 5 games, he's gone 6x or better. So this is a guy that's putting up 40 to 50 fantasy points, and you can still get him at a price of only $7,400. So I realize that the price is rising on him, but again, you got to look at what you're getting for the amount of money you're spending. If you're getting 40 fantasy points from a guy that's only 7,400 or more, like Vucevic, if we're getting 40 fantasy points, 7K, we like the product, pretty cash game safe. I think they're all in good spots. And I also think that, you can make a case for using any of the 3 for upside in a tournament. Again, Philly's one of the teams that's the worst against centers, so you're going to have an upside ceiling kind of game out of Vucevic today. Danilo Gallinari going up against Sacramento is one of those teams that we love to target. So, again, you got one of the best spots, one of the probable highest total game on the day. Sacramento plays in a lot of games and has given up a lot of fantasy points to the high usage guys, so it works out well for Gallo there. And then even Drew Holiday going up against Washington. Here's a guy who's coming off of 5.5x or better in his last 5 games, 6x in 4 of those 5 games. Going up against Washington, it's another high-paced team, another good spot for him. So these are three guys that are in absolutely elite spots today. All three of them are in my cash lineup as of now, and all three of them will probably be on some of the tournament teams I make. Maybe not all together, but I'm definitely going to have a heavy exposure to all three of these guys. Again, there's only 5 games here on a day, but 4 of those games have totals of 206 or better, which means that there are a lot of games that should be playing to the upside. So there's going to be a lot of spots you can target, a lot of guys that are going to make sense. So far, we haven't had any huge injury news. The one thing I would tell everybody to watch out for is the DeMarcus Cousins news. When Cousins is out, you usually get a tick up for Rondo and Rudy Gay. Might also put like a value play like Willie Cauley-Stein in there. A lot of things are going to change. Witness this game, this late, it does give me a little concern that maybe it's a little more serious than we're thinking it is. So that sums it up for our DraftKings NBA plays here for Tuesday, February 23rd. Thank you guys for joining us at rotocurve.com, and as always, stay classy, DFS.